1 in 3 working parents of primary school-aged children would consider taking a job that only requires them to work during school term so they could spend holidays with their young children. 27% of all parents with children under 18 said the same in a YouGov study. I'm thinking of you, Nicola, because you've got all this to come.
Yes, I do.
And particularly in the summer, it's really hard.
Yeah, nightmare. Luckily, I don't work, a traditional 9 to 5 week. I'm a freelancer, so I can share responsibilities with my other half. But I think this is amazing. I don't think all workplaces should have to have it. Not all jobs could potentially cater for this. But absolutely, I think that the traditional 9 to 5 ultimately is a sexist kind of system that we have in the UK, because it works on the presumption that one of the parents, usually the woman, has to stay at home and look after the kids.
I don't know what the solution is, but I think cost of living has put this under the microscope, Richard, because people are finding it really hard to take time off or pay for childcare in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. But actually, this is good news for the teaching profession. We're always hearing about the shortage of teachers, but this may be one of the best ways to meet that preference, and that would be good, because
or to become a teacher.
Well, to become a teacher, and the great thing is you can do that at any age. In fact, sort of more elder teachers in their 50s who retrain from a previous job to be a teacher can be some of the greatest teachers. I've seen it from a good friend of mine, actually. So, in a sense, something to look forward to for everybody.
OK, but if we can't all retrain as teachers, what about if somebody says they work in a, they're in a steelworks, and they say, look, I'm having July and August off, and there's no steel.
But they would be paid less.
Yes, they would.
They wouldn't get the same salary.
Well, then there's an issue of how they pay their mortgage.
Ultimately, businesses have to make money in order to make profits, in order to stay in business, to pay people. So most businesses couldn't accommodate that. But we are seeing, obviously, more flexible working. We're seeing more part-time working. We're seeing more sort of part in the office or in the wherever, and part at home. So I think it's horses for courses, actually, and people have got to make choices. And businesses also are moving at pace to try and find ways to ensure that employees are motivated and having to respond to these changing circumstances.
I was having this conversation the other day about why is it a lot of us have really fond memories of our childhoods and maybe very present parents. Now, my mum would have described herself as a housewife, and my dad was a teacher. So in the summer, they were really there. Now, there's very few households where they have parents who are that present, and I think a lot of us feel the same about it.
Yeah, you want to, and also adults, I imagine most adults want to spend time with their children.
Yeah.
Maybe not all day, granted, maybe not the whole summer holidays. I heard a conversation between a mother and must have been a 9-year-old the other day. The 9-year-old was like, we've got 6 weeks of summer holiday, and she went, don't remind me. But yeah, there has
Many feel like that.
I'm sure there has to be a bit more balance involved here, because we don't want kids just not having anyone look after them during the summer holidays either.
Is it OK to pay for childcare, Richard, if you can, or is that in a way?
If you can afford it. I mean, look, this is nothing new, Jeremy. These decisions, these judgments have gone on frankly, for centuries. And parents adapt, but there's no question that the cost of living, the added pressures, the higher taxes, all this stuff makes it ever harder for people making these difficult choices.
Well, it's very hard to take time off work when you are struggling to pay the mortgage and so on. I mean, then your children land on you for the summer, and you also feel that you shouldn't resent it.
Sure. And I also think lots of employers, small, medium-sized businesses and large businesses, will find it difficult because a lot of people will be taking unscheduled time off. They might say, my partner's ill, I need to go and pick the kids up, blah, blah, blah. It might be better for them to have a set timetable during the year that means they always will be available to do the pickups or look after kids in the summer.
Is it fair to ask your parents to look after your children?
My parents?
Well, I don't know about your parents.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very fair. They do.
Because it can break the grandparents, that if they suddenly find that they are professional childcare.
It shows, Jeremy, that's actually what happened. I mean, you're a family. You never stop being part of a family. You have a rows, but that's what grandparents do. And I mean, grandparents love to get involved, but they also quite like handing them back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Noland on Twitter says, unfortunately, I don't think this would work. Many companies just couldn't function, losing staff for periods of time. What about if you, OK, just thinking outside the box here, you work somewhere and you say, look, I'm not going to be around for the summer. I'm going to be off for about 8 weeks, but I'm going to supply you with someone who'll do my job as well, if not better. And you could send your mum in, or you could basically find...
That sounds amazing. I'd love my mum to come and do this job.
You could find someone else to do your job just as well.
Yes.
That's the thing. And also, if you were let's say, a freelance worker who is a bit older, and there'll be lots of those in the years to come, you could become the summer filler. And then you could really properly...
There's a real danger to that, and that is the summer filler is better than you.
That's the
and
worry.
you come back in September and you've lost your job.
Isn't that the concern in broad? I think that's particularly a concern in broadcast and politics.
No, I think this is be a summer filler. That would be so brilliant. Sarah's in Surrey. Hi, Sarah.
Good morning.
And now, have you got young kids?
No, I haven't. My children are all grown up.
OK. Do you remember this tension in the summer of trying to give them lovely holidays and trying to do a job as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. In one way, I can see the logic of this because with childcare and everything being so expensive, but equally, I'm not sure how this is going to affect business. I'm not that qualified to say the practicalities of it. However, I do think that if people take these contracts, it should be monitored. I mean, you mentioned just now the survey of people with children under 18. Under 18, I don't see a need for that. For instance, I worked in a company with people that were on term time contracts. Because of their contract, they equally had the first preference over Christmas holidays and things like that. Now, some of their children had actually graduated from the university. So there is a vast difference between a need to have that type of contract and a want to have that type of contract.
Well, it does cause a lot of angst among childless persons who may be in the job and who keep getting landed with the Christmas shift.
Well,
that's their fault,
I think
is it?
that all depends on your company and whatever and rules and regulations about who has holidays.
Because I used to work with a colleague who, I won't say who it was, but he basically was continually. I would be called up by the person. They'd say, "We're going to have to work Sunday. Is that okay?" I said, "Oh, well, really?" And they said, "Yeah. Let's call him Phil. Phil can't be in. His son is having a birthday." I said, "Right, I've kept a record of these calls. I've worked out he's got 32 children. What's going on?" It was always a child's birthday, and he couldn't make Sunday. Thank you, Sarah. Jenny in Leeds. What do you think? Jobs should be term time only.
Well, there are plenty of jobs for people. You could work with schools.
Yes.
You could work with schools, like there's playground attendants, dinner ladies, lollipop people. They're always crying out for these, and you get the time off with the children, and you get paid for it.
But what if you're in a job, let's say you're middle manager in McDonald's, OK? You don't want to switch to teaching. Is it OK to say to McDonald's, "I'm off for the summer," and by that I mean 8 weeks?
We shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Why not?
Well, why should you? You've got a job. You take the holidays that they can.
I know, but maybe we've moved into a different world now. That's
Well, then we need to go back to the old one.
what the old world. Yeah.
Well, the old policy of working. You have a job.
Yeah.
You get the you get the holidays off that you do, and that's it.
I hear you, Jenny. Thank you. That is the school of hard knocks. There. That is where.
Yeah, but it
and that's
worked.
how
the economy was growing in the 80s and 90s before this stuff, and now we're not growing.
Because
and maybe
houses
it's
were
linked.
not
Maybe
5
there's a
times
productivity
south.
crisis.
Everyone's wiped out by their mortgage now. It's not, it used to be. I think my dad bought his first house with a cheque. He paid by cheque. I mean, it was like $5,000 or
I thought you were
something.
about to say with cash.
No, it virtually was.
The August break kind of happens anyway, even in industries where it shouldn't. We know that in our industry, in television, you try and get a reply to an email in August is nigh on impossible, and in December.
Yeah. Paulette is in Birmingham. Paulette, what about this? We're rebuilding society right here. Different form of work.
Right. What I'm saying as a single parent.
Yep.
I work for the NHS, and I've actually worked part-time. I've worked school hours. And I think it would be a good thing for parents to job share and work term time only, because it cuts out a lot of these extra expenses, because you could spend a good £1,000 during the holidays.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you get cover in the school holidays then for your work at the NHS?
Well, like I said, you job share.
Job share. I'm sorry. Okay, fine. So you need to job share with somebody who's got no children.
With no children or also with children, and we shared the hours between us, which worked out pretty cheaper and better.
Good stuff, Paula. That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much for watching.